I'm going up to cut some logs. I like to do it early in the morning when it's still cool before the mosquitoes start in. But I thought what I'd like to talk about today is safety running a chainsaw. Now, a lot of what I'm going to say, people aren't going to agree with. Difficult. But a lot of times I see, you'll notice on YouTube, I never show when I'm cutting down a tree. So I cut a lot of trees down. But there's way too many people who claim to know what they're doing and try to enforce their opinions. So I just avoid it by not showing it at all. When I was watching a video the other day and somebody was talking about cutting down trees and some, the safety issues come up right away. And usually these are for people who really have no idea what they're doing or like to talk about their opinions that they picked up from somebody else, but that they've really never done much of anything. Off the check magnet, that works better for when I'm working back in the bushes. Just a lot better to get around, especially if you're going backwards. And you get your better clearance, especially on these side roads. But we'll go into safety a little. Because I see it all the time, and people tend to want to equip themselves to no end, where a lot of times common sense is more important than equipment. Okay, I don't know how much actually came through on the audio on that when I was driving. But what I was going to talk about was safety with running a chainsaw. Or what I like to think of as over safety. A lot of times I see people, they get all geared up and then they think they're safe. And gear isn't a substitute for common sense. You really have to think about what you're doing. Don't just rush into it and count on your safety gear, to make you safe. It isn't going to work that way. Safety gear can prevent accidents, but there's a point there where over safety will actually encourage accidents. You can get too overconfident. I've seen that many times, like with motorcycles. Like somebody puts on a helmet with a visor on it, and then they get the feeling that they're indestructible, and you're still going to break your damn neck. You see that with kids and skateboards is a good example. You'll get all the pads and guards on, and then do stupid shit like go off the top of a house. It doesn't make you indestructible. But like I say, I see that with people running chainsaws. It's one of the reasons that I never show when I'm cutting trees down on YouTube, because I know right away, you need to have this and you need to have that. And it really, if you're doing this professionally, day after day after day. Yes, it's a dangerous job, so you're as safe as you can be. But common sense really is the thing that you really have to try for. I don't know how many times I've seen where people drop a tree and drop it right on top of their vehicle. They always say the trees grow as they fall. They'll park 30 feet away and drop a 40-foot tree right on their pickup. But it's easy enough to just take, anything and line up with the tree and look and tip it and see where it's going to fall, and you know right away. The same with the angle of a tree. It can be really deceptive if you're cutting on a hillside, particularly. You look at a tree and you think, okay, it's leaning this way. Well, the hill will throw you off. So the easiest thing to do is actually take an axe and hold it up so you get a good up and down, because the weight of an axe is enough to give you a good lean angle, get an idea which way it's really going to fall, not the way you think it's going to fall. And you got to look at the top and see where like the one right there, which is a dead tree, which has to come down. It's leaning a little this way, but it's got a lot of the top leaning that way. So you have to figure that out ahead of time. Don't just go hacking away at her. And like, as far as safety gear goes, I do, okay, people are always all goggled up. The problem is that I've got the glasses for that. I very seldom use them, only if I'm cutting in a situation where I'm kind of overhead, because then crap will come down on you. But I don't want to ruin my peripheral vision. You have to be able to see all around you. You have to be really aware of what's going on all around you. The same with, I don't own those cutting chaps, which is all the rage. Yeah, they're okay. They're good, but it's not something that I ever felt the need to have. I'm not winging that chainsaw around in a wild manner. It makes me nervous when I see people. I don't like to cut wood with people who aren't used to running a chainsaw, because sometimes I see people doing things that are dangerous, that worries me, that I don't want to be around them when they're doing it, because you can get hurt. Because you can get hurt really fast with a chainsaw. But the thing is, take it cool and think about what you're doing. Now, as far as hard hats go, I've never shown this before, but I actually have one. It's one of the old B.F. McDonald ones. These are from like the 30s and the 40s. They were used in all kinds of construction companies, but also in a lot of like civil defense and all that. They're even the military. I think military police even used them. There's some that are painted green and stuff, but they're nice, light, and they're cool, and they're more comfortable than the plastic ones because it's leather and canvas webbing, so they're a comfortable hard hat, and they're cool because the air vents to them very well. I've worn them plastic hard hats at certain jobs, and they just get to be irritating after a while. These things are pretty comfortable, but they've been around for a long time. You just don't see them a lot anymore. But they're handy to have, especially, say, like now, when I cut that one down, it is dead, and you don't know, when it starts moving, you can break off branches that will come thundering down. So it's a good idea for those sort of instances, but otherwise, for a lot of stuff, I don't, because I don't want it ruining, I want to be able to see all around me. I want to be aware of everything that goes on all the time. But these do have a place. And the same with gloves. I don't use gloves a lot, and when I do, it's these light leather ones, only because you want to have a really secure grip on your equipment. You don't want a glove that's going to get between you and what you're doing. You really, like I say, you could be over safe, But I see that, in a lot of things. And the same with hearing protection. I don't wear those ear muff things. I use the same little earplugs that I use for when I'm shooting. They're enough to take the edge off it, but to not completely dumb you down so you don't hear what's going on. You want to be able to hear every crack of a tree or everything that goes on, especially if you're cutting with somebody else. You have to be aware not only of what you're doing, but what they're doing at the same time. So awareness is the real thing, and you don't want to get so safe that you aren't aware of what's going on, because that's when it gets dangerous. But I'm cutting by myself, and like I say, I'm careful. You have to be careful. So I pay a lot of attention to what's going on, and I've never had an accident, but it can happen, and I'm always aware of that. But like I say, there's a big push for the safety thing, and in the industry, I can see it. It's a liability issue there too. But for normal people, you're cutting down some little tree. You really don't need to spend $500 on gear. Just use your common sense. I know, but people won't agree with this. You can never be too safe, but you can be. You can be too safe in that you can get so geared up that it becomes dangerous. It's even like with firearms. A good example again. A gun can be designed so foolproof that it actually becomes dangerous for the user. Keep things simple and pay attention to what you're doing. That's always the safest thing. Just use common sense.